You've been waiting for something for years, maybe your whole life. That moment when everything finally clicks into place. When you get the relationship, the career, the body, the bank account, whatever it is you've decided will finally let you breathe and say, okay, now I can be happy. But here's what nobody tells you. You've been saying, not yet, for so long that even when good things arrive, you barely notice them. They land in your life, and your mind immediately moves to the next thing, the next gap, the next reason why this still isn't enough. And the exhaustion of that, the constant chase, the perpetual disappointment, it's not because you're broken. It's because you're using the wrong map. There was a Vietnamese Zen master named Thich Nhat Hanh who spent his life teaching one uncomfortable truth. The reason you can't find happiness isn't because it's missing. It's because you've decided it can only look one way, and every time it shows up looking different, you turn it away. He lived through war, exile, loss. He had every reason to say, I'll be happy when this nightmare ends. But he didn't. He discovered something most of us spend our whole lives missing. Happiness isn't a destination you reach after everything falls into place. It's a capacity you either have right now or you don't. He once said, each of us has an idea of what happiness is, and we are committed to that idea. We say that without this or that, happiness cannot be possible. But happiness comes from every direction, and we refuse it because we're waiting for one specific form. Today, we simply invite ourselves to settle into this moment and recognize what's already here, not as a concept, as a living experience. This contemplation offers a quiet space to understand how your idea of happiness might be the very thing standing between you and the peace you're seeking. Let's begin with something honest. Think about the last time you felt genuinely content, not ecstatic, not high on achievement, just quietly okay with being alive. How long did it last before your mind started its audit? Before the voice came in saying, this is nice, but you still need to fix that thing, achieve that goal, become that person. That voice isn't the enemy. It's trying to protect you, but it's also the reason you can't rest, because it's built on a premise that nothing is ever quite enough until the entire checklist is complete. And the checklist, it never ends. They noticed something most of us miss. We're living like that young person who falls so deeply in love that the entire world disappears. They can't eat, can't sleep, can't see anything except that one face, that one person. They say, this is the only thing that matters. If I can't have this, I don't want to live. And from outside that obsession, the rest of us can see what they can't. Happiness is knocking on every door. It's in the morning sun streaming through the window they're not looking at. It's in the friend calling them that they won't answer. It's in the meal they're not tasting because their mind is somewhere else. Happiness is arriving in 1,000 forms, and they're refusing all of it because they've decided it can only wear one face. You do this too. We all do. Not always with a person. Sometimes it's a version of success you've been chasing. Sometimes it's a body that doesn't age or hurt. Sometimes it's a bank account that finally makes you feel safe. And you tell yourself the same story. When I have that, then I can relax. Then I can be happy. Meanwhile, the happiness that's available right now, the taste of your coffee, the fact that your lungs are working, the morning quiet before the day explodes, all of it gets dismissed as not the real thing. You're waiting for the big happiness, the one that justifies all the waiting. But here's what Thich understood: that happiness doesn't exist. Not because it's impossible, but because the moment you get what you wanted, your mind creates a new condition, a new gap, a new not yet. The chase doesn't end when you arrive. It ends when you stop chasing. Let me tell you what this looks like in real life, because philosophy doesn't help if it doesn't land in the everyday. You wake up tomorrow morning. Your body is warm under the covers. For about 3 seconds, you're just here. No problems, no agenda, just the softness of waking. And then your phone buzzes. Your mind switches on. The to-do list starts writing itself. Within 10 seconds, you've left the present moment and entered the future. The place where you're managing, planning, worrying, trying to get ahead of what might go wrong. That transition happens so fast you don't even notice it. But that's the moment. That's where you lock the door on happiness and start the day's search for something better than what's already here. Now imagine, what if you didn't? What if you stayed in those 3 seconds just a little longer? Not forever, not as some spiritual bypass, just long enough to let yourself receive the morning before you start managing it. Neuroscientists call it hedonic adaptation. Your brain evolved to focus on what's missing, not what's here. It's a survival mechanism. It kept your ancestors alive by constantly scanning for threats and opportunities. But in the modern world, it keeps you perpetually dissatisfied, always reaching, never resting. The research is clear. People who get promotions, relationships, lottery wins, within months, they're back at their baseline happiness level. Not because those things don't matter, but because happiness isn't in the achievement. It's in the noticing. And you can't notice when you're running. Thay's whole life was about stopping. Walking so slowly, people thought he was strange. Drinking tea like it was the most important event of the day. Not because tea is sacred, but because attention is. And when you're fully present to one thing, truly present, the search stops. The door opens, and happiness doesn't need to knock anymore. It's already inside. Let's try something, not as an idea, as an experience. Close your eyes, if that feels safe, or just soften your gaze. Bring your attention to your breath. You don't need to change it. Just notice it's happening. Your body is breathing you, has been since you were born, will be until you die, without your management, without your permission. Now ask yourself, right now, in this exact moment, not 5 minutes from now, not yesterday, right now, is there actually a problem? Not the story about what's wrong, not the worry about what could go wrong, but right here, in the space of this single breath, is something actually threatening you? Stay with that question. You might notice tension in your shoulders. That's not a problem. That's just sensation. You might notice your mind saying, "This is pointless. I have things to do." That's not a problem either. That's just a thought. Keep coming back. In this breath, in this body, in this moment. What is actually here? Maybe you find something under all the noise. A kind of quiet. A kind of okayness that doesn't depend on anything changing. It's not fireworks. It's not bliss. It's just this. The simple, undramatic fact of being alive and aware. Open your eyes. That's what they meant by happiness coming from every direction. It's not loud. It's not Instagram worthy, but it's real, and it's been here the entire time you've been looking somewhere else. Here's the question that changes everything. How many moments like that do you dismiss every day? Not because they're not good enough, but because they don't match your picture of what happiness is supposed to look like. Your daughter laughs at something silly, and you barely glance up from your phone because you're trying to secure her future. The sky turns orange at sunset, and you don't stop because stopping feels like wasting time. Your partner reaches for your hand, and you're already in tomorrow's meeting. They would say, you're refusing happiness. Not consciously, but you're refusing it because you've committed to an idea that says happiness is somewhere else, somewhere bigger, somewhere other than here. And the cost of that commitment? You miss your life. Not the idea of your life, your actual life. The one that's happening right now, while you're busy searching for the one you think you're supposed to have. Joy and happiness are born from the practice of letting go. And the first thing we must release is our idea of happiness. Read that again. Let it land. The first thing you must release isn't your goals, isn't your dreams. It's your idea of what happiness must look like for it to count. What if the morning sun counts? What if the warm shower counts? What if your heartbeat, which has pulsed 100,000 times today, without asking for applause? What if that counts? Not as a consolation prize, as the real thing. I know what you're thinking, but I have real problems. I have bills, health issues, relationships that hurt. I can't just pretend everything is fine. And you're right. They isn't asking you to pretend. He lived through war. He knows suffering is real. But he's asking you to notice something. Even in the middle of difficulty, there are moments when nothing is wrong. Moments between the problems. Moments when you're just sitting, breathing, existing. And if you're too busy waiting for everything to be perfect, before you let yourself be at peace, you'll spend your whole life in a waiting room. Happiness isn't the absence of problems. It's the capacity to be present, even when problems exist. That's not toxic positivity. That's survival. That's sanity. That's the difference between living your life and just managing it. So here's the practice. Tomorrow, just once, let yourself receive something simple without immediately moving to the next thing. Your coffee, your shower, the first step outside. Don't perform gratitude. Don't force it. Just notice. This is here. I am here. And see what happens when you stop refusing the moment because it's not dramatic enough. That's the door opening. That's happiness arriving from a direction you weren't looking. There's an old story, not from Thich, but it echoes everything he taught. A man spends his entire life searching for a rare jewel. He travels the world, sacrifices everything, grows old in pursuit, and on his deathbed, exhausted and empty-handed, he reaches into his pocket and finds the jewel. It had been there the entire time. You already know how this ends. The happiness you're searching for isn't in the future. It's not behind some achievement or milestone or transformation. It's here. It's been here. It's knocking on the door of this moment. And the only thing stopping it is your refusal to let it in. Not because you're bad at this, but because you've been taught to look in one direction when happiness comes from everywhere. Let that settle. You don't need to become someone else. You don't need to fix everything first. You just need to stop long enough to notice what you've been turning away. The sun is rising. The breath is moving. Your body is holding you. And maybe, just maybe, that's not preparation for happiness. Maybe that is happiness, the quiet kind, the kind that doesn't shout, the kind you've been too busy to notice. So here's my question for you, and I really want to know, what's one small moment of joy you dismissed today because it didn't feel significant enough? The taste of something, a sound, a feeling. Tell me in the comments. Not because I need to know, but because naming it might help you see how often you're already standing in the middle of what you're searching for. And if this reflection opened something, even just a crack, don't let it close again. There are more contemplations like this waiting. Subscribe, not for content, but for reminders. Because sometimes we need to be told what we already know, again and again, until we finally let ourselves believe it. The door is yours to open. The happiness has always been yours to receive. All that's left is the letting go, breathe, and begin.